every artist would like to be signed to some sort of label. So how do you kind of regulate that conversation, and how do you approach different labels, and how do you get the most out of what your artist needs?
Labels are, they're an interesting point of the business because they're such a huge piece of the puzzle. So with my artists, we kind of pull down a short list of who we think would be a really great fit. And a lot of that comes from size of the label, the other artists they work with, their identity, and kind of how important that is. Lost in the Trees is a great example of they're signed with Anti,
right,
who is an incredibly diverse label. They work with Mavis Staples and Wilco and Tom Waits. And so it wasn't so much about, I think a lot of people look at a label that they really just love every single band on and that
right,
they feel like their band fits in perfectly with. And I think that sometimes that's not the best place to be. You want to be somewhere where you kind of stand out on the label. So that's one thing that I really think about is where do they kind of fill a niche? And that's what labels are really looking for.
right.
And so it really starts with just approaching the labels. And a great thing that managers usually have over bands is personal relationships with the labels. I approach the labels with the music and really go after people that I think the music will resonate with and that it would be a good fit with. And then from there, it's usually the bands playing live, label comes out and sees them, get some time to kind of hang out and get the personal
right,
vibe. And if that's good, it kind of gets into the meetings territory.
Right.
Negotiations. And then, through those meetings, I think that a really important thing is, some bands would just sign with the first label that calls. And if you can be in a position to have many options, at the table to sort of like date before you get married, and have those meetings. And I think that like one thing I really try to do is talk through like the workflow, which is how does this, how will this work on a day-to-day? Where does the label get involved? And kind of have that conversation with the band in the same room so that they can get a real sense for it. Because I think that sometimes with all sides in the music business, at times artists don't understand totally what the label is going to do. And I think that when you're all in that room, you can usually get a feel for the chemistry, which is ultimately the most important part. There are lots of nuts and bolts that you have to work out, but the chemistry is what you're really going to, when you have that workflow with a label and it's just really seamless, I think you're able to get a lot more done and do a lot more effectively.
Yeah.
So, it's a long process, and I think it should be a long process.
Is there any kind of set of expectations that you have as the manager to bring to a label to say, listen, this is what we need you to do for our bands? And, how does that inform your choice of a label? In order to really get the most out of a label, it's what you invest in, and it's how clearly you articulate that. So I think that coming into working with a label with your own plan, saying, these are the things that we want to accomplish with our music videos. These are what we want to accomplish with our touring. These are our goals. And giving the label, responsibility there to make that happen. So this is what we're looking for you to do. We need, and what that is for a lot of bands, it's tour support. So it's saying we need to go out there and we need to be doing opening tours. We're getting paid $250 a night. Our overhead is $700 to be on the road. Right.
Where are we going to make that up? So I think that, coming with some specific things like that, the clearer you can be about that, the more you'll get out of it.